Welcome to this interview. Today we have someone who I've met at Toastmasters. She is a fantastic speaker. She's an amazing coach, and I have many things to learn from her. Introducing the one and only Elaine. Elaine,
Hi,
how are you today?
everybody.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm very good. Still a bit jet lag from my trip, but recovering well, enjoying the year-end holidays. It's always
Awesome.
a fun time for me.
It's a fun time. All right. So for the people who don't know you, I would love it if you could introduce yourself a bit, maybe who you were when you were younger. I mean, you're still young, but when you were a bit how did you decide to pursue this career as a coach? What influenced you in the past? If you could share that, that would be amazing.
All right. So if I could divide my life into three phases, so
Yes.
to speak, the first phase of my life was very much after school, coming out of university. What I was most interested in at that point in time was advertising. I
Hmm.
went to business school in the US and I really got very interested in advertising. And when I graduated, I said that would be in an industry that I would like to go into. And it's a very interesting story how I got my first job.
Oh,
So when I first graduated, as with all fresh grads, we all want to get our first job as quickly as possible,
definitely. That's
right?
stressing. Stress,
Very stressed, right? Yeah, I
yeah.
can I can imagine the competition now.
Yeah.
Back then, I had a few lecturers who were really kind. They would refer me to companies that were looking for marketing people. And marketing communications was my pet subject at school. And I
Yes.
recall and interviewing with some companies, and it was for a marketing role in their company. And I went for
Hmm.
those interviews and I didn't feel very excited by it, although they offered me the job and
Hmm.
the salary was decent. And I went home and thought about, like, do I really want to commit myself to a job where I'm not really very excited about? Yes, the compensation was good, company was decent enough. It was giving me a role that I could grow in, but did it
Yes.
really speak to my passion,
Hmm. Which was advertising back
which
then?
was advertising, was pure advertising.
Hmm.
So I decided, nah, I'm not going to take that job. I really wanted to find a job in advertising.
Yes.
So what I did was, I don't know whether you know the concept of yellow pages. Do you know yellow pages? Yellow pages back in when I was growing up. Okay, we all have
Uh-huh.
Google these days, right? Google is
Yeah.
such a wonderful platform for us to search for anything and everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Growing up, we had directories. We had like big fat
All the
books.
big
Yeah,
encyclopedias.
the big fat books. They were not
Ah.
encyclopedias, but they were listings of companies. So if you
Oh,
wanted to know where to find an electrician, where to find a tuition center, where do you find a money changer, you will flip to these books and they will give you a listing. People will advertise in these books, in these directories. They're called directories.
ah,
So they had one for businesses and one for residents. So they had a residential book. So if you want to find your friend's father, where did he live? You search for his name and it'll give you the address and telephone number.
Hannah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So those days, we should try to find one of these books one of these days, and I'll bring it to Toastmasters and see, let you young ones experience what is it
that would
like
be
to
so interesting.
search for people, search for companies back then. So
Yeah.
anyway, I really wanted to find a job in advertising. So I went to look for all of us, every household would have these books. We would collect
Yes.
these books every year.
Yes.
So I went through the yellow pages. I looked at the category advertising agencies,
Yes.
and I looked for the ones that had the biggest ads. So I figured, right? I rationalized, well, if you have money to put a big ad, that means you will have money to probably hire people, right? That means
Yay.
your company will be bigger,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I looked for the first advertising agency that had the bigger ads, and that
Mm.
advertising was called BBDO. So I went A didn't have anything. B, okay, BBDO. So I
BBDO.
called them. Yeah, so I called them. I said, I just graduated and I'm interested to join an advertising agency. Do you guys have any vacancies?
Mm.
So the receptionist said, "Well, let me put you through to one of our directors." And she put me through to one of the directors.
Wow,
And
immediately.
yeah, we spoke over
What
the phone. And he said, "Would you like to come down for an interview this week?" I
the
said, "Sure,
hell?
I'll come down." He came down, we
Okay.
spoke, and they offered me a job. So
Wow.
that started my journey in advertising. And I tell this story as an inspiration to people to, number one, really think hard about what you want to do.
Yes.
Believe in your passion and really think about, you're gonna work for majority of your life,
Yeah.
correct? So really find something that you truly enjoy. So
Mm.
understanding what you're really passionate about, what you enjoy doing, what are your strengths, is going to get you off to a good start when you enter the career world.
Yes.
So that was what got me started in advertising. And
Mm.
I went through different agencies in my probably 18 years of my agency life,
Mm.
doing different roles. And in the last, I would say the last decade of my roles in advertising was really around general management, senior management roles. I
Mm.
got to lead teams, I got to manage people. And in the last 4 years of that life, I moved to China.
Mm.
I had the opportunity to work in China for 4 years because my husband was relocating back then and I chose to follow him. And the advertising company, the media agency that I worked for then said, well, come work for us in our China office, which is what I did. But at a point in time, I decided to switch into a different role altogether. I wanted to do more of internal training, helping the company to onboard new people who would have just joined the company.
Mm.
And China in I went we went to China in mid 2000s. Were you born then?
Probably yes.
Yeah. And at that period of time, China was truly booming. It
Mm.
was the golden years of China. And
Yes.
every time the business grew, they would need to hire sometimes 20, 30, 50 more people just to manage one new account that they would get. And that meant that you had to quickly attach these new joiners to the company in terms of
Mm.
the culture, in terms of the processes, in terms of the tools. So that was what my responsibility was then.
You be like super fast to like put
Yeah,
everything together.
yeah, make sure everybody is on board, on the right path,
Mm.
on the right track. So I
Mm.
did that for 4 years while I was in China, and I loved our life in China then. It was very eye-opening, having lived in Singapore for more than 30 years, and now
Yeah.
you uproot yourself, going to a new country. It was
Oh,
eye-opening in terms of getting used to the culture, the system. I mean, I was based in Shanghai. Shanghai is a big city.
my parents now too. Cool.
Oh, cool. Have you been?
Yes.
Many times, I presume.
A few times I guess because my dad also had to go there, then my mom also follow.
Yeah. And if
Damn.
you've been to, if
Okay.
you've been to Shanghai, you would see at the superficial level, everything looks very much like Singapore. It's a big
Yes.
city. It's got huge skyscrapers and every all the conveniences that we have here, they have it there. So assimilating into the Shanghai lifestyle wasn't too difficult. But then, of course, there's the cultural aspect of it. People have a different way of living. People have a different way of doing things. People have a different way of working, different way of living. And that's how we learn how they do things. And then we assimilate into that.
Hmm.
And that was uh, a good way to really think about what is life like out of Singapore. And interestingly, I just had a conversation with friends and family over Christmas. We talk about how Singapore is such a bubble for a lot of us. We have been so used to the comfort, the efficiencies of Singapore that we think everywhere in this world is going to be like us. And if things are not efficient, we grumble, right? We complain. And we've always been fed this narrative that, oh, we have the best airport in the world, we have the number one passport in the world, we are so good in STEM, our students excel in this and that. So much so that I feel we have an overly inflated
Ego.
ego, opinion about ourselves.
Mm.
But when you live somewhere else in a big country like China or anywhere else in the world, you are brought down to earth and you suddenly think, well, Singapore is really just a little red dot. We are so small in the larger scheme of things, in the bigger scale of the world. What do we stand for, right? And what else is out there that is waiting for us? So why do we cocoon ourselves in this smaller country? Yes, our country has given us so much, has blessed us with all the wonderful things, but we
Mm.
owe it to ourselves to go out and explore and enrich our experience, our exposure.
Yes.
So if I were to give an advice to someone like you
Mm.
who is thinking about working in a couple of years' time, I would say cast your net as wide as possible. Don't be
Mm. Mm.
afraid to think of opportunities outside Singapore. If such an opportunity land on your lap, just take it.
Words.
Yes, just seize it with enthusiasm. Do not be fearful to live in a different country, to work in a different country. It's going to give you so much exposure beyond just, oh, yeah, I'm working in a different country, but it's really about living there, being there with a different culture. It's the I would say the
So much
experience.
perspective also.
Yes, the perspective, right? And you start to rethink about, well, okay, what is it about the world that I like?
Mm.
Beyond just what is it about Singapore that I like?
Oh, I like my char kway teow, I like my Hokkien mee.
Yeah. And you learn to be comfortable with discomfort, right? There's going to be, of course, a level of discomfort when you live in another country. And that's good. It's good to be uncomfortable. I think we're too comfortable here. We're too sheltered in this
Mm.
bubble.
Mm. Too sheltered in this bubble of Singapore.
Yes. So that's kind of like my second half of my life where I uprooted, went to a different country to work, then had a child, then came back to Singapore,
Whoa.
then started this new journey where I decided, hey, what else is out there in terms of what I can do as an occupation, as a career. So
Mm.
by the time when I came back to Singapore, I was already in my late 30s with a young child and trying to navigate motherhood, career at the same time. I decided, I really want to spend time being a mother. And advertising is an industry where you really need to devote your day and night. It's very stressful.
Mm.
And I said, okay, I'm going to deprioritize that. I'm going to prioritize more on motherhood. And so I then decided the years where I was doing training and development in China, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy nurturing people.
Yeah.
Interestingly, when you're a child, people always ask you, hey, Eugene, when you grow up, what do you want to be? Right? I'm sure you got a lot of that question before.
Yes.
And what I remember one of those answers I gave when I was growing up was, I want to be a teacher. I want to teach.
Yes.
And training is exactly that, except you're not teaching young children, you're teaching adults,
Yeah.
right? And I enjoy the process of nurturing people, making sure that they are able to discover their own strengths, build their careers, build their aspirations on passion, and chart their own path forward.
Mm.
So naturally, then coaching became an avenue for me to explore, continue to be a facilitator, continue to train and coach others in the workplace.
Awesome. So it seems like your passion at one stage of your life was advertising, but it just kind of transformed and changed as you went along, and it just became nurturing people from doesn't matter what age, I guess.
Yeah, exactly,
Ah.
exactly. You're right. It doesn't matter what age, and that's what I really enjoy right now.
And just evolve over time lah. People don't need to be like, this is my passion, and you do it for life. You can be passionate about so many different things.
Correct, correct. And like you say, it's an evolution. You will evolve. Your
Yeah.
preferences are going to evolve. You're going to discover new strengths. You're going to discover new skills.
Yeah.
And so go forth with that mindset that I'm going to stay open-minded. I'm
Mm.
going to adopt a 活到老学到老 mentality,
Oh.
right?
Yes.
So keep learning and also keep improving. I embrace the mindset of, the Japanese word kaizen.
Kaizen,
Yeah,
yes.
kaizen. Kaizen is all
Kaizen,
about continuous improvement, correct?
yes.
So I believe
Constant and never-ending improvement.
that's right. And I
That's
believe
right.
in the power of that because life is not about perfection.
Mm,
It's never been about, okay, I've achieved this, that's it. That's the end of it. But it's actually about progress, not perfection.
yes.
Continue to, even if it's just 1% better tomorrow, it's good enough,
Yes.
right? And to get that 1% better is then you have to embrace the mindset of, okay, what else is out there that I can think about enhancing the way I do things or enhancing the way I think? And that gives me a lot of gratification. So I get a lot of highs from that
Mm.
aha moment. You remember in
You used to go
Toastmasters,
to
we
the
talk about
club.
moments. Yeah, it's like, oh, that
Yes.
aha. Even it's like, oh, I learned a new shortcut today on PowerPoint or on Excel or
Ah.
on YouTube or whatever. I just love it. It's like, okay, I learned something new.
Yes. And it reminds me of this really cool metaphor that like everything in the world is either growing or is dying. The fruit is either becoming bigger or it's rotting. The leaf is
Mm,
either growing or dying. And everything in life, if it's a muscle, you're not using it, it's either growing or shrinking. And relationships also, people think, oh, my relationship is already very good, but it's either growing or dying. Nothing in this world is stagnant.
that's
So
right. That's
that's
right.
really cool that you brought that up. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right, another question I have for you is, could you tell us an experience in your life that you found to be rather challenging, and how did you overcome that period of challenge?
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, that's got to do with perhaps a bit of my career as well, because
Hmm.
like I said, for most part of my life, I was working in a corporate organization. So success was very much defined by what role
KPI.
what role you have. Like, oh, did I get a promotion? Did I get a raise? Did I get, a new role? That kind of thing. So it was very defined by what corporate defines as success, right?
The definition of success is like not your own. You don't own it, is it? In a
Correct.
way.
You don't own it. And when I came back to Singapore in 2000 and early part of 2009, it was a global financial crisis. And
Mm.
as you know, with a lot of these financial crises, companies would cut back on, their headcounts, their spending. When I came back, I was supposed to get a role back in the company that I was working with, but in a different capacity. But
Mm.
because they were controlling their budgets, they could not offer me that role. Then
Mm.
suddenly I felt a bit lost. It's like, oh no, what am I going to do now? My whole life has been defined by my name card, a name card that says Elaine Quack, you are a director of training and marketing. But now I don't have no more name cards to define me. So
It's like a loss of identity in a way.
exactly, the loss of identity because my identity was always attached to the corporate world.
Yes.
So it took me a while to feel comfortable not being
Mm.
attached. I had to
Right.
detach myself. I had to detach myself and tell
Put the
myself,
name tag. Bye.
yeah, it's like, okay, Lord, don't have the name card. So be it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make me a lesser human being. Yes, all my friends still had fancy jobs, still had, their corporate role. There I was calling myself a freelancer and
Mm.
not being able to have something that defines who I am. I
Yeah.
realized that for a long time I was beholden to what the corporate defined as success,
Mm.
and it was dangerous because once and eventually all of us are going to be detached from the corporate world, right?
Yes.
We are never ever going to have a, a job with a company forever.
Mm.
So I felt displaced for a while, but I told myself, okay, what is it that I like to do? So I like to do coaching, I like to do training.
Mm.
Could I, do it myself without being attached to a company? And thankfully, I met I had connections with companies who were willing to take me on and say that, well, you could do this as a freelance on your
Mm.
own time, on your own target. And that worked well for me too because it gave me the flexibility to spend a lot of time with my child.
Yeah.
And while yes, I wasn't like holding on to a title, I wasn't drawing a regular salary, so to speak, but that freedom more
Mm.
than made up for it. That freedom and that flexibility is something that I've come to realize is so precious. It's so precious that nobody
Mm.
can tell you, hey, you need to finish this report, do this PowerPoint and give it to us. And I was able to explore the different paths that were now open to me. Like I could do community work. I could tell myself that, hey, today I'm not interested in this project. I don't want to do this. I have the flexibility to say, well, this project doesn't suit me. I don't want to take this on. I'll consider another one later on, right?
Mm.
So I started to relish that flexibility and freedom a lot more, and I
Yes.
started to also redefine what success means to me. That my
Mm.
my definition of success is not something that is defined by other people.
Yes.
So that was a period where I had to go through that. But I've started to realize that what I had gone through then was what a lot of my friends were going through in their later years.
Oh, and
Yes,
there before you can help them with it.
correct. So like you mentioned, it's about that identity, right? How
Mm.
do you define yourself is
Mm.
very important. And
Yes.
it's also good if you can identify very early on, especially now, let's say for you and your
Mm.
peers,
Yes.
to really think about what do you stand for? And what you stand for is what you bring into every different environment that you function in,
Mm.
right? The
Yes.
environment can nurture and your identity, but the environment should never define your identity.
Yes. The environment can nurture but never define our identity. All right. Something for us to think about. Anyways, thank you for sharing all that. I would love to know if there were any specific strategies or tools that you used during that tough moment of redefining your identity times, and what helped to get over and redefine yourself in a new, more empowering way for yourself.
I like the word empowering, and I think that's
I
something
love
that
it
we can
too.
all do more of.
Yeah.
Back to the 活到老学到老.
Mm.
I I remember I signed up for a diploma course.
Oh,
Yeah. Guess what
good.
I did a diploma in?
Not advertising, right?
No?
Can't be. Psychology.
You are so clever.
It's my degree.
I did a diploma in counseling and
Hmm.
oh, actually it was a diploma in learning disorder management and child psychology.
Learning disorder management and child psychology.
Yeah.
That's a long name. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was new. I was in the starting of my motherhood journey.
Yes.
My child was about 1.5, 2 years in. I thought, okay, I really want to be a good parent. And I really
Hmm.
want to learn about child psychology. I've always been very curious about kids. I love kids. And kids love me.
Oh yes, I'm sure they do.
I have this great affinity with them.
Hmm.
And now at that point in time, I thought, okay, now that I'm a mother, what strategies can I empower myself with so that I can be a good mother? So I
Yes.
was flipping the newspapers one morning and I came across this ad again, an advertising.
Oh,
You can,
how poetic, how poetic.
yeah, you can take me out of the industry, but you cannot take the industry out of me, that kind of thing,
Oh,
right?
oh my goodness.
So I
Yeah.
saw the ad. It says, "Oh, diploma course in learning disorder management and child psychology." So I thought, okay, I'll go for a talk, and
Yeah.
then I signed up for it,
Hmm.
and it was 8 month, I think 8 months or 10-month course. So I had to commit to going to the school every week to learn the different modules. So there's a module in learning disorder, there's a module in counseling, there's a module in child psychology.
Yes.
And it was very interesting. So you learn about psychology, all the different theories, all the so we can have a discussion about that one of these days.
Yes.
And I'm always very fascinated by how humans think, right?
Yeah.
And even more so for young child. How does a child
Mm.
start to develop their cognitive skills? How does a child develop their emotions? And what can you do to nurture them and to guide them?
Mm.
And so that's what I learned. And I, of course, had the opportunity to apply on my own child.
Oh yes.
Yes, yeah, he
Who
was my
else?
guinea pig.
Who else?
I also start to think about, well, how does a child's behavior affect adult behavior as well, right? Of
Yeah.
course, there's a correlation here. How
Mm.
your nurture and your nature is shown up when you enter adulthood as well.
Mm.
So you start getting more fascinated, like, oh, so this is why people behave the way they behave, right? And you think
Mm.
about, okay,
Mm.
so how then can you help them to, as a coach, as a facilitator, how do you raise their awareness that, okay, how are we guided, like why we do what we do is impacted by a lot of things, whether it's how we were brought up, how we are hardwired, and what can we change. We can, of course we can change our mindset, right? And our mindset is often influenced by our narrative, correct?
Mm.
The
Yeah.
stories that we
The stories that we tell.
tell ourselves.
Yeah.
So how can you change those stories so that you can overcome some of your own personal challenges? Like,
Mm.
oh, I cannot do public speaking, it's too difficult. I cannot be I'm not good with people, so I cannot manage them. So there's all these narratives that we tell ourselves. So how
Mm.
can we change those narratives? As they say, you change your story, you change your life.
That's right.
Yeah. So that was a way for me to discover myself and again what was I interested in. And then slowly it moved to, okay, I can apply this to parenting, I can apply this to my work, I can apply this in coaching. And then I went on to do a coaching certification course, which again opened up my eyes in terms of what does coaching mean, what does coaching look like, how can coaching benefit others.
Mm. Yes. Also, so what I hear so far is, hmm. So to kind of overcome this identity thing, you, I guess you embraced your identity as a mom much more strongly and just went into it. Like it's how you defined it. Like you wanted to really engage in motherhood and you just dissociated yourself from that other identity and went to pursue things that would make you become a better mother. And in that process, you learn so many things that, oh, I can do this to a young child, I can do this to a big child as well. Then you did then you just
Yeah.
did stuff there.
Yeah, I guess I discovered a space where I could benefit both my personal role as a mother as well as my professional role as a coach or as a facilitator.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, if you put the two and the overlap is truly enjoy nurturing people.
Hmm.
I nurture a child, I can nurture adults,
Hmm.
and the skills are very much the same. It's about listening to them.
Hmm.
um, as a child, when children throw tantrums, right? You understand why is it they throw tantrums, because they're still unable to express themselves in a very logical and um, cohesive way. So you've
Yeah.
got to give them space and time to vent via crying, or anything that they only know at that age.
Hmm.
But likewise, as an adult, when they are, and we all, the common thing is we all have feelings, right? We cannot discount the fact that, oh, just because you're an adult you must suppress your feelings. We all still have feelings, what?
Yeah.
Correct. So why do we say that, oh, as an adult, don't bring your personal feelings to work? learn how to manage your emotions. Yes, I agree. We all can self-regulate, but that
Mhm.
does not negate the fact that we all should be permitted to feel angry, sad, frustrated, exasperated, worried, anxious, so on and so forth.
We're bringing our whole selves to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's this phrase which I learned. It was again one of those light bulb moments when my ex-colleague said this. She said, we are not just human doings, we are human beings.
Ying. Yes. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So then you bringing that concept into the workplace, right? When you interact with others, do we just focus on the human doing part? Just do this, finish this report, get this done for me, deliver this KPI,
Hmm.
complete this by this deadline, make these decisions. These are all to do, to do, to do, to do. But behind the human doing is a human being. So understand that people may feel anxious, people may feel excited, people may feel frustrated,
Hmm.
and help them to, when you connect with the emotions, it's easier to move people forward.
Yes. Don't invalidate. Oh, you're not supposed to feel angry now.
Yeah. It's like, why get so worked up over this? Like, why not?
Ah, ouch.
Right. When you like you say, when you
Ah,
don't give people permission to feel the way they need to feel, you're telling them that, hey,
you don't matter or something like that.
yeah, your feelings don't matter.
Yeah.
And I
Don't
think
get
that's wrong.
frustrated. Be
Yeah.
curious. Be curious. Don't
Yeah.
get
Be
angry.
curious. Yeah. And be there, listen, empathize.
Yes. Don't just, oh, it's not a correct emotion to have. Wow, that's so pain. All right. Ah, okay. Last one before we move to the final segment. So if the people around you, when they face similar corporate lifestyle changes, how would you help them with these loss of identity when
Mm,
they go to you for help?
mm. So interestingly, one of my friends, very close friend, is going through a period where she's just left the corporate world. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so she's feeling a little bit lost and
Yes.
displaced. So,
And she cannot feel that way.
well, first of all, I told her, give yourself time to settle down with this new phase of your life.
Mm,
You might feel the ups and downs. That's very natural.
mm,
And thankfully, her organization is generous enough to give her the opportunity to talk to executive coaches who are very experienced with dealing with such situations. And I said, go leverage on the resources. Go talk
yes.
to these coaches. Uh, Tell them how you feel. But I also told her, find what you really enjoy most
Mm,
as a person,
yes.
not just as this role in the organization, but really as a person. And then think about how else can you bring that joy, in what you do to other opportunities that could be out there.
Yes. Because it's infectious, I guess.
Yeah, as I always say, energy is infectious,
Mm,
right? The good energy that you bring to yourself is what you exude to others. The bad energy that you bring to yourself is also what you exude to others, right?
yeah.
So yeah, be always very aware of the energy that you bring to the room and the people around you.
Yes. Because who we show up as really bring out that side of the people as well. It's
Yeah,
very important to show up.
yeah, and like you always bring very positive energy to all our
Oh,
Toastmasters meeting.
arigato
So
gozaimasu.
yeah, I really appreciate that, Eugene, because
Thank
it
you.
does make a difference. The way you start our
Yeah.
meetings. Remember, you did help us to do all the exercises, do all the
I'll do that.
fun,
I'll keep it up. I'll keep doing that.
choreo.
Oreo.
I always
Yes.
remember that because I'm gonna steal it because I think it's really good. It gets us off to a bright and cheery start to the meetings.
Yes. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for sharing all these things as well. Some final questions I have for you is what, so now going forward, what are some of the hopes and dreams you have for the future that excite you?
Oh
So
my
since
goodness.
like it's coming to the end of 2024, what's your path going forward? What do you look for? What are you excited for the next year?
Do more of what you love every day.
How about you? For you, what goals or what aspirations do you have for the future?
For me at this age in my life is about the relationships. So keep the relationships um, strong with
Mm,
people that you cherish, whether
mm,
it's your immediate family or your close friends. For this year in particular, I'm very thankful for new families, for my families, new
Yay.
families like Toastmasters family.
Oh,
Really, the Toastmaster journey has been so enriching and fruitful for me.
Mm,
I feel very blessed that I was brought into this family by my friend Sandra, whom you met,
yes.
and I feel very blessed that I was able to connect with Linky Toastmasters.
Mm,
Is that somehow, it's that I always believe in chemistry. When you have chemistry with a group of people, and you can sense that you gel with their vibe, right? You vibe with them, and
like the
yeah, and I vibe with you guys. It's so fun to go to Toastmasters meeting. It's not something that I drag.
yes.
So yeah, I'm very thankful for these new families. My work as well. I had now this year I had an opportunity to join a company as like a consultant,
Mm,
and it's working with my ex boss again. And it's a small outfit, but the people again are so fun and vibrant.
that's
Yeah,
amazing to hear.
yeah. So I'm very thankful that again it's about discovering and finding that sense of belonging with the different groups of people.
Mm,
And I hope that it's a mutually beneficial kind of relationship, with Toastmasters. As much as I get a lot out of you guys also get something out of me. And
yeah,
likewise with
much to learn from you.
a lot to learn from everybody in the group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there one specific thing that you would like to see as accomplished or come into your life next year?
Mm, I'm really somebody who sets resolutions. Uh,
Resolutions don't work, but you gotta work on them. Schedule it in, otherwise it doesn't keep going.
yeah, I think it's more of uh, learning new things.
Learning new things, always
Yeah.
keep going, always keep having that relationship with people around you, keeping them close.
Yeah, keeping good relationships with people that I cherish, learning new things. Hopefully next year, I love photography, phone photography.
Ah,
Yeah, the last few months, I went for some phone photography workshops at the Apple Store. Every
oh, it's free.
you have Apple has these free phone photography workshops,
Hmm.
and I went for one in anticipation of my holiday as well. So
Yes.
I do a lot of walks. I love the nature.
Hmm.
Um, so during my walks, usually I take quite a lot of photos.
So you were able to take some good quality pictures, huh?
Yeah, and I don't have the latest iPhone. Mine's an iPhone 11. But as the instructor told us, it's not about the phone. It's about the person behind the phone.
Yes. Yes, right.
Yeah. So, and I hope to also do more, walks, do more hikes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my other enjoyments in life. Even for holidays, we tend to like to go to places with nature where we can do hikes and
Beautiful.
walks. Yeah. So, yeah.
Awesome. Is there any final words you would like to share before we wrap things up?
Uh,
If nothing is okay.
yeah, nothing very much. I think I talked too much already.
No lah. All right. Okay, then. Thank you for listening, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.